America is the country that started the AI race. And as President of the United States, I'm here today to declare that America is going to win it. The reason the last administration was so eager to regulate and restrict AI was so they could limit this technology to just a few large companies, allowing them to centralize it, censor it, control it, weaponize it. This is the exact opposite of my approach. The American people do not want woke Marxist lunacy in the AI models, and neither do other countries. From now on, the U.S. government will deal only with AI that pursues truth, fairness, and strict impartiality. We're not going to go through the craziness that we've gone through for the last 4 years.
Sure sounds good. We have to ask Joe about it because I don't know what the heck he's talking about. Joining me now, Joe Allen, author of the wonderful book, prophetic book, Dark Eon. Okay, Joe, first of all, what did the Biden administration do or try to do? What did Trump undo? Explain this to me like I'm 5.
Well, Jesse, in the Biden administration, you had a push very similar to what you would see, say, out of Davos, the World Economic Forum, or maybe more UN-affiliated organizations. They sought basically to harness the power of AI, but also to steer it in a very liberal direction. And the most powerful models were being produced and are still being produced by Google, by OpenAI, by Anthropic, and all of those companies, like most companies in Silicon Valley, have very much a kind of left-leaning tendency. And so the AIs ended up being, quote unquote, woke. That you remember the cartoonish outputs from Google's Gemini, where people were asking for the founding fathers or people were asking for Vikings, and it would bring like this racially diverse cast. It was just like a cartoon that was mentioned in the executive order signed as Trump announced the AI action plan from the White House. But that is what he's talking about when he's talking about combating woke AI. And also worth mentioning that collusion between the Biden administration, or that deal that seemed to be inevitable should Harris have gotten in, between the big companies like Microsoft, like Google, and OpenAI. I think that would have been the outcome. So what's happening under the Trump administration, for better or worse, I am not personally optimistic, is that he's extended the kind of privileges of government endorsement and contracts more towards startups and companies like Palantir, founded by Peter Thiel, now run by Alex Karp, or like the suite of AI companies that Mark Andreessen's investment house, Andreessen Horowitz, are promoting.
Okay, why aren't you optimistic?
Well, it just depends on what kind of life you want to live. Do you want to live a life that it's dominated by devices? Do you want to live a life in which a significant proportion, or maybe even the majority of your population, looks to artificial intelligence for what is and isn't real? And, going out from there, do you want to move into a future like Elon Musk is envisioning, or like most of the guys at these frontier AI labs are talking about, in which humans basically merge with the machines in various ways, whether it be prosthetics and brain interfaces, or whether it be something like wearable biometric devices and exoskeletons. In any case, the sci-fi future, I oftentimes say there's no real conspiracy other than the broad conspiracy to make science fiction real life, and it's not a world I want to live in.
Okay, can you tell me, you see these internet rumors about AI turning on people, potentially turning on people, doing things to protect itself. Is that internet stupid rumor fodder, or are we actually seeing this? And I ask because I know the military is starting to implement this stuff.
Yes, it is happening. Most of those stories, for instance, the widely publicized story that came out of an Anthropic lab about an engineer who was blackmailed with evidence that he had a mistress, right? He was going to shut the machine down, and the machine threatened to blackmail him. That did occur, but it occurred in Anthropic's internal labs. So they were testing it, and it started doing that. It also started doing all these other things that were very strange and unusual. It began, I think, speaking in Sanskrit and talking about universal bliss and cosmic consciousness, something to that effect. And so, but these things are happening, and the point of all of these tests and the lesson to be learned is that by their very nature, AI systems make their own decisions. They are kind of de facto out of control. You can put guardrails on them. You can train them in ways that keep them more under control. But if an AI system is worth its salt, it's going to have a degree of freedom. It's going to have independence. And so that's how you end up in these sorts of situations. And the fear is that if you unleash a super powerful AI, it will make all sorts of decisions, many of which don't have human interests as the core agenda.
Can't you make sure it does?
Well, it's one of those things we're going to have to find out. So, a big part of the AI action plan that was unveiled yesterday, the third pillar is about the U.S. leading in diplomacy and security on AI. And rather than starting at the fountainhead, right, rather than going upstream and regulating things that saying, no, we will not create these systems that are of such power and capability. No, you cannot deploy these systems on students and in corporations and infuse them into the government and all these things. Instead of saying no, basically the Biden or the Trump administration is saying, yes, we are going to facilitate and do all of those things. And then if problems emerge, we will begin to put more regulatory measures in place. So they are planning on keeping it under control, but they're going to play with it first.
Joe, go read his book, Dark Eon. It's freaking eerie, but it's true. It's a great book. Joe, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, as always. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.